Let's talk Deebo, though. Deebo Samuel wants out. Where do you think he will end up, and what do you think the Niners will get for him? I want to know what you guys think. Who's going first?
Go ahead, Coach. You've finished up the
first, Coach.
I don't see anything more than a fourth, and that'd be Rich. Right now, your last tape is your best tape, unfortunately. And I understand that Deebo Samuel has a lot of attributes. You know, he is a tough runner, physical, definitely an emotional leader. And those are all of the good things that I could say about him. But all of that was about 2 to 3 years ago. He's injury prone. And from that standpoint, I don't necessarily think that he's disciplined. And I question his equity around the league. Like, who can he talk to in order to be able to get a good deal? Because they're sending him out first. The only teams that I would honestly see Deebo going to would possibly be a Miami because of fit. He will be able to fit into the offense. But I can honestly see him going somewhere where the culture is already built in and they don't need him to be a leader. They just need him to be a contributor, like a Pittsburgh, right? Where the culture of the team is already set in. I could see maybe Baltimore possibly taking fielders on Deebo, where that's a very strong culture before they would take him in. I don't see any smaller teams taking on Deebo, or not smaller, but teams that are, not necessarily that successful. I don't see them taking on Deebo because I see that's when Deebo would necessarily want to take on, try to get his money. Most teams that would take Deebo on, they were kind of, I hate to say this, but they would use him at a lesser role than what he was used here. They would bastardize his skill set. If you're going to be here, you're going to be a now route guy. You're going to be a package guy. We're going to use you out of the backfield. We're going to fold you into what we already do. So as far as established offenses, I could see almost kind of like a Detroit or maybe a Green Bay Packers taking a shot on Deebo. So maybe run first teams that need a little bit of a wrinkle to their process of how they get things done. But they definitely already have a for sure running threat. They've got a number one and a number two. I don't think anybody would take Deebo on as like a for sure number one or number two right now.
I think, we can add Denver to the mix as well. There's obviously mutual interest very early on. We saw on his IG post that he liked a picture of him in a Broncos uniform. Then he was talking about how good he thinks the Broncos are going to be this year. And then there are rumors behind the scenes that they've reached out. So we can throw them in the mix. I agree with Coach, though. Those are the types of teams that will do it. But if we have to narrow it down to one team just for the sake of doing it, why don't we go with the Jacksonville Jaguars? They are interviewing currently somebody from the 49ers front office to potentially be their GM. That's an easy move. You go over there, you bring in one of your guys right away, and you do it for a 5th-round pick. And I think I look at that receiving core over there. They could definitely use some help. They could definitely use some offensive versatility. So let's go with the Jacksonville Jaguars for a 5th-round pick.
Historically speaking, where do good 49ers go to die?
The Raiders.
The Raiders. And all they got over there is Jacoby Myers, Terrace Marshall. They could use a wide receiver, and historically that happens quite often. It wouldn't surprise me to see Deebo go over there. Pete Carroll is very familiar with Prime and Deebo Samuel. So maybe that image of Deebo running all over the Seahawks back in the day sticks with him. But if something about the Ravens just seems like it would be a good fit for Deebo Samuel. I think he could be a weapon in that offense. Backyard football. Yep. Backyard football with Lamar Jackson. I could see Deebo succeeding.
You might even get in shape for that team.
In shape. Right. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
In shape, Deebo would almost give them like a Zay Flowers with teeth. Mm-hmm. Right, that would allow Zay Flowers to kind of open up his route tree, and then Deebo can take all of the intermediate to shallow stuff. So
rushing attack with him and Lamar and Derrick Henry would be kind of interesting.
Yeah,
kinda
Deebo.
like that.
To be honest, he would be used as more of an H-back kind of tight end too.
He'd have to go to a team with a coach that he really respects who would challenge him.
He would have to
think
block.
that he respected Kyle like that, and I don't think that Kyle ever really challenged him like that. I think Kyle said, "Pretty please with sprinkles on top, will you be in shape?" I think Sean Payton would challenge him. I think John Harbaugh would challenge him. I think Lamar Jackson would challenge him. So I don't know if he has it in him, but if he has one more great year in him, I think Baltimore could get it. I would think that Washington would want him.
No,
I would think that maybe Adam Peters would feel like, I know this guy. You know, maybe it is Kyle Shanahan's fault. You bring him into a team with Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, he'll respect them, he'll play better. But I don't know that the Niners would trade with Adam Peters. I feel like John Lynch is like, I'm not going to let you show me up. So what about the Chargers? Harbaugh
seems like he would like him, and so does Roman. Seems like
a Harbaugh guy. I mean, either one, John or Jim, kind of fits there.
Somebody in the chat said Deebo's built like a
Papusa.
I read
knew
earlier
you like that. You just had food.
I read earlier someone said he looks like the Hamburglar. I think that's crazy. He's built like the Hamburglar.
That's fair. Well, here, according to BetUS, these are the odds. The Commanders are the favorites at plus 300, then the Chargers plus 400. Panthers, I'm not mad at Deebo, but if I wouldn't be mad at the Panthers, that would make me laugh. Sorry.
That's where he's from. He's from Carolina, right?
They need it, Carolina. And do you know there's also a South Carolina connection there? You know, the receivers out of there, over there too.
He shipped all his cars. Good. He shipped all his cars and belongings to
What's
Carolina.
his name? Xavier Legette?
He did?
Yeah.
Xavier Legette. Okay. So he's from there, and Bryce Young played pretty well at the end of the season.
Yeah.
They could pay him.
And he needs kind of like a pace horse, somebody that can get the ball too quick. Xavier Legette's issue is that he's a long guy, but he doesn't do well with short intermediate routes. That could be kind of Deebo's wheelhouse over there. They got the money for him too.
And he'd be a big fish in a small pond, which I think he would probably.
Which they would love. He'd be right in Charlotte. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm putting $10 on the Panthers. I like that one.
Good call,
that could be an
Ryan.
interesting one. And I think he would enjoy it. He'd get a lot of targets.
Yeah.
He could get more targets than he's ever had.
He would.
Yeah.